Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and across the way in the grove, the big sexy, the star of the show, the one and only Jesse Martineau.
Dun, 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 dun. I can tell you right now that I wouldn't have been singing. I didn't think I was going to be singing this time in the NFL season. I didn't think that Geno Smith, of all people, would get the Seahawks to the freaking playoffs.
And he did.
Russ couldn't have done it. Russ wasn't going to make the playoffs.
Not with this
year.
team. Not with this team. No.
I am, and yes, okay, yeah, the mathematics had to line up, but it doesn't matter. The Seahawks are in. Now, I do have to say one thing.
Yes.
The Raiders are out.
Yeah, way out, my friend. Way out.
What the hell happened this year?
Oh, I don't. Listen, it's not even relevant anymore, but I heard Devontae Adams is staying, so that's all I care about now. Yeah. And I need Josh Jacobs to stay, and then we can rebuild, you know. But I'm pretty excited about next year already. But I like it. We already knew it was a wash this year, so I'm good.
Well,
Derek Carr's gone.
Derek Carr's gone. That's your Super Bowl right there this year. I mean, hey,
See
like
you later.
have a better chance. You have a better chance now that you don't have a quarterback than you did having a quarterback.
I totally agree.
That's bad.
I couldn't agree with you more. I concur with you.
But we want to talk about something a little more crazy going on. If you've been under a rock, you're going to be mind blown right now. Mind blown. The squeaky clean Dana White. Is he squeaky clean? He has been. He's avoided all sorts of things. But videotaped on New Year's Eve. I believe it was New Year's Eve. Just slapping his wife, like actually slapping her. And she took the first shot, sure, fine. But he went at her once, not twice, but 3 times. Yeah. Connected with her for sure twice, probably the third as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't know why this guy is getting a straight up pass. It's like it didn't happen. It's like it doesn't matter.
Jesse, but can you imagine all the people in the past that of African American descent that got basically run over by a truck for doing the exact same thing?
Right.
See, I'm not arguing about what he did. He did what he did. We all saw it. Yeah. That's not the issue. The issue that I have first of all, do I need to give everybody the disclaimer like everybody else did about how we know it's wrong to hit a woman?
Well, of course.
Listen, we knew it was wrong to hit a woman when we were 3 years old, everybody, because we were taught at that age that was not allowed. That was not a thing you're supposed to do. Now, when I seen him apologize, I thought to myself, I'm like, was that an apology? And I get it. He wants it to be a private matter, but you're not a private matter because you were on videotape doing it in a public venue. If you were doing it under the roof of your house, then no one knows what's going on. But we saw it. We saw what happened. And what I'm puzzled by, I'm not even condemning you anymore for doing it because we all know how wrong it is. What I'm condemning him for is how he didn't step down. How he did not step down as the president or whatever position he holds at the UFC right now. And what I'm saying is, listen, he did what he did. He kind of apologized. Him and his wife are working it out for the family. I get it. I get it all. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying is how he didn't have the fortitude to step down. And the only people you can blame now moving forward is no longer Dana White. It's the people that are above him in the food chain that are allowing him to continue. It's them that's the problem. Because, like I said, I heard about 10 UFC guys say that it's not right. But then I heard 2 or 3 of them, and some of them the ones that I heard say they thought it was okay. Listen, you fucking idiots, okay? Let me explain that to you, fucking idiots. Let me explain this to you. It's not okay in any form. Let me explain this to you too, you fucking morons, because I've had it up to here with people thinking this is okay. When a girl slaps you in the face for any reason, here's what you do. You walk away. That's what we were taught. Slap in the face, walk away. No, slap in the face, slap her back, and then slap her 1 or 2 more times. No, I never read that in the manual anywhere. Listen, I'm sorry about the profanity today, anybody that's watching the show, but I'm telling you, when I start to hear these hillbillies that fight in the UFC saying it's okay, I got to draw the line. Now, people like Dustin Poirier, some other guys said no, huge foul ball, and it is. And then I also heard some sportscasters do the disclaimer. First of all, how he's a great guy and he's great this and he's my buddy and he's this and he's that. So whatever they do, listen, let me explain it to you. If any fighter in the UFC did what he did, they would have been expunged immediately. So what I'm trying to tell you is
happened everywhere.
That's what I'm struggling with. I'm not struggling with, okay, we saw he did it. Yes, we saw all this other stuff. No problem. I get it. I don't get it. But the part that I struggle with is that he still holds the position he holds, because if that happened
right away.
If that happened in NFL, NHL, NBA basketball, anywhere else.
Yes and no. Like we live in a screwed up time, because
it's screwed up.
There's things that you are like, how did that person get canceled for this? It's like there's targets on them. And some you're like, I mean, you know, some of the tweets that are over a decade old.
Ray Rice.
Well, Ray Rice punched his wife out in video and was knocked out. Yeah, but there's
wait a second. Yeah, but he what did Dana White do? He slapped his wife around after she hit him. Okay, so we do. But Ray Rice was run over by a bus for what he did. Ray Rice was crucified by everybody. The same people that are defending Dana White today were crucified. I can play it back for you people. I can play it back for the announcers.
Why is Dana getting a pass?
My friend, it's called white. Listen, I suffer. We probably all suffer from it, but it's white man privilege, and it's rich man, white man privilege, and he gets you understand.
But there's a lot of other white dudes that have gotten canceled for less. Like, that's my thing.
Well,
like, why
I don't
is this
listen.
one
You want to get it really crazy.
Others don't.
Go look up what his mother says about him right now, about this incident. His own mother. Okay, I don't know if she's crazy or she's not. I couldn't tell you. But what she said about him, that's scary. That your mother says that about you. Well, she says he's always been like that. So I'm not saying that. That's what she said. So Skip Baylesses of the world and all these other people, I know what you're
Skip
doing.
Was thankful that this happened, because he could deflect onto this based off from his comments about Monday night or Thursday night football, whatever it was, when Hamlin went down and they stopped the game. And Skip Bayless goes on and says, well, we can't stop the game. It's the playoffs. And, you know, people lost it. He then swung and pivoted on this Dana White thing and brought that all to attention. Smart by him, but still. You look at this kind of stuff, and you look at people that have gotten punished for things, and you know, as little as a tweet, and again, a decade-old tweet, and people get absolutely canceled for that. And then you get a video of a guy actually slapping his wife multiple times, and it seems fine.
Jesse, but this is what I'm saying. I'm not okay. We know he did it. Okay, we understand that, Dana. We understand you did it. We understand you kind of apologized for it. We understand that you and your wife were still together. We understand this was the first time. Now, okay, did that look like the first time to anybody?
On camera.
Okay, first time on camera, correct. And I'm not saying anything about that. We already know that's what happened.
Yeah, we saw what happened. It doesn't matter if it's repeat. It doesn't matter. This one incident, people have gotten their lives their careers ended for much less.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to say I'm not even blaming Dana White right now. I'm blaming him for what he did.
Yes.
But I'm blaming the people above him.
Why is everyone else letting it go?
They're letting it go.
Yeah.
Now, what you're gonna start to wonder is now, because I think we're the only broadcast anywhere in the world that has been totally honest about this, funny. Right? Because the rest of the people are scared to lose their press pass. And I've seen a lot of guys talk about it, and they kind of skirted around it. And I'm trying to tell people, and if you're in the UFC, and O'Malley in the UFC, I like you as a fighter, but you need a PR guy to really adjust the way you think. I know you must have grew up somewhere where that was okay, and you saw that in your life lots. I'm not sure. But in my world, you did not see that. No. That was not allowed. And sometimes when you see it all the time,
I don't get anyone's reasoning that says it's okay.
Yeah. Well, some
UFC
fighters said it is. But you know what's funny, Jesse? Do you remember how many times I said that there must be a code of conduct
Yeah, I know. I know.
Finally in the UFC.
But
whether
again, like it's true. But
yeah, but for
look
for
what
the
we're
fighters
talking about,
and
there's
for
not
the
even anything
staff
going on.
Yeah,
We're talking about the UFC. Like again, like
yeah,
it is like we've talked about this so many times, and we're one of the only ones that actually points it out that money is the only thing that really matters in pro sports, and you can't argue that. You can't. If there was no money, there wouldn't be pro sports. There just wouldn't be. That's why the World Juniors is only cool in Canada. It's not popular anywhere else.
Anywhere else in the world.
Some people are saying it's the biggest tournament in the world. Bullshit. We just had the World Cup. Much bigger. I mean, frig. The bowling world championship is probably bigger. So
it is.
Really, let's be real here. Money is the only thing that moves sports. And again, that's fine. That's fine. And I think that some sports need to realize that money needs to be more of a focus because your sport sucks. So fine. Okay, great. That being said, now let's take in code of conduct. Doesn't matter then if the people in your high up organization, management, owners, conduct themselves poorly. It's one thing to have your athletes conducting themselves poorly, but if the people actually in charge of the entire thing conduct themselves poorly, what precedent does that now set?
But
now
what
he
about
can't get rid of any fighter that does the same thing.
What about this, Jesse? If TV sponsors are going to keep sponsoring, and TV networks are going to keep doing it,
and
then we'll see. Matter. Because I don't believe that
ESPN,
those guys will eventually.
Hey man, ESPN hasn't said much.
Correct. Because listen, it's the 28-day rule. You know, Cuban said it. Mark Cuban said it a long time ago. 28 days, all of a sudden, people forget everything, right? But what I'm saying is, you got to think to yourself, how can this one go away with the video? How can this one go away? And like I said, I'm not going to say UFC is a great organization. It's a great, I love it. But at the same time as you might have to reconsider who's running the show, because corporate wise, I don't know how many corporate sponsors are going to leave their logo inside an octagon when the guy that's running the show is doing those type of things. And like I said, it could be his first time, but he also said in 2014, he said, Dana White quote said, if you hit a woman, you can't come back from that ever. There's no coming back for that. He said that.
Yeah.
Now, once again, we all know he did it. We're not even talking about that anymore. We're talking about how he didn't step down from it. He's got all the money in the world. He's got everything. But you know, someone really smart said to me, my wife, who would he be? My wife said, who would he be without that?
You know what's funny? And as I'm looking at this, Stephen A., who I don't like, let's be real.
Unbelievable what how he chicken shitted out about this whole topic.
The guy that says like whatever he wants most of the time.
Not this time.
Didn't. And actually, he has a quote here, and they quoted him. We've been told, this is from Stephen A., from ESPN, we've been told not to write anything incendiary on social media about the Dana White situation. Well, what does that mean? B.
Is that, Jesse, is that crazy, though? Is that crazy?
Yeah, I know. And I understand why I have to abide by that. What? I just ask y'all to understand that some of us at ESPN do not have as soft of a take on domestic violence. Yet, he doesn't really go off on there. He covers himself in that. But in the same way, he points to an issue. So he kind of did this backhand or underhandedly, saying ESPN has told everybody not to talk about this. Don't talk about this thing.
Isn't that crazy, Jesse?
Isn't
that crazy?
It's crazy in this time, in this day and age, where everybody has talked about this stuff. Everybody, especially ESPN. ESPN put a woman, they've been so big on this. On women in sports. They've been so big at promoting equality across the board in sports. They've been adamant about it. But they are quiet on this one. I just don't get it. Our guest has arrived. We'll be right back, everybody, on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Okay.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. at Reading.
Welcome back to the Me and Jesse podcast. Of course, I'm Mark Pavlich, across the way in the Grove, the big, sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, everybody. Listen to me when I tell you this. He's got a heart of a lion, the one and only Anthony Hamilton.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah,
Hey,
buddy.
thanks
It's
for
so great
joining us
so great to have you on the show. And listen, Jesse, I don't know if you know this. Anthony lives in Seattle.
Oh, well. Was it a big day for you yesterday, or are you a Seahawks fan?
Not really a Seahawks fan,
Oh.
but there's a lot of talk around the town about these guys right now.
Well, it's kind of mind blowing. I mean, I've been a Seahawks fan for a long time. I grew up in Vancouver, or just near Vancouver, so that was crazy. And at the beginning of the season, I didn't think anything was going to happen, and now here we are sitting in the playoffs. Do you watch football, or is another team of yours not doing well?
Oh man, I grew up like a super big football fan. Was a Cowboys and Redskins fan for a long time.
That's contrary.
Yeah, is that even possible?
Yeah, I followed the Super Bowl teams with when the Redskins had Mark Rippon and
Oh, wow, yeah.
when Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and those guys were on the Cowboys, I followed them all the way through their 3 championships back in the 90s. So
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I can relate to you with the whole sports thing, because sometimes it does get a little, I don't know. There's
It's a
something
lot.
that seems like it
Yeah.
you get to a point sometimes you're like, I need to take a break from this sport for a bit. I don't know what it is, but it's happened to me lately.
Man, for me, I fell in love with other things. I fell in love with wrestling and eventually mixed martial arts, and that kind of took the priority in the sports world for me.
Well, since you retired, Anthony, do you watch MMA still?
Not as much. And to be honest, Mark, I don't know if I'm officially retired yet.
Yeah, but you're kind of teetering, right? You're teetering.
I'm teetering. Yeah.
Teetering.
So, no, it's different now. I was thinking about this earlier today. When I was going hard and I fought, for you and MFC, and then got to the UFC eventually, I just lived and breathed fighting. That was every single day. There wasn't a moment in the day that I wasn't thinking about fighting. And as you know, life changes. You grow up, you get a little older. We had some kids, things like that. So life changed big time for me. And so those have become my priorities now versus, I got to train, I got to go do this and be ready to fight every single day. And things change. So
Is there plans on you doing that, or where are you at with all that? We're the same age, I think. You're born in 1980. Yeah, so we're the same age. Yeah. So I'm kind of the same stage of life as you. I know what I think you're pointing at, but tell everybody how you're feeling.
Man, the mind is still there. The body is a little different.
Yeah.
I used to hear a lot of the older guys would tell me, "Oh man, just that day is gonna come when your body hurts or you're not feeling the same." And I want to say it started maybe about 2-3 years ago, and I was kind of in denial. But this last year, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're definitely there now. So, long story short, I see myself maybe 1 or 2 more at most, and then that's it. So, yeah.
That's cool. How many kids do you have now?
Do you think what just happened here with Dana White over the thing here? Do you think it's time there's a fighter code of conduct in the UFC? And also, what I mean by that is you see a fighter code of conduct in Major League Baseball and NFL, everywhere as a code of conduct. You can say whatever you want in all those sports, but you're going to get tagged. You're going to pay a price for saying what you're going to say. Meaning like, you can have all the freedom of speech you want, but if you're going to cross the line with our code of conduct, you're going to pay for that. And every organization has it except the UFC. Do you think it's time that the UFC does adopt this?
Yeah. I think the UFC has a code of conduct for the fighters. I don't remember it being
enforced
too stringent. I think there's some flexibility there for
lots.
Yeah, for these guys to play a little bit of a favoritism thing. I mean, you've seen that with Connor and some of the trouble he's been in. Several other guys, right? Like, it's okay for some guys to do some things, but then other guys make mistakes and they're gone. And so, not quite sure where that fighter code of conduct or policy is at these days. But when I was there was something there that kind of outlined, keep your stuff together. But I don't remember them enforcing it unless, it was like they pick and choose how they want to enforce that. So,
yeah, it seems that way. It seems like there's a floating chart of where you could land on this thing and whatever I don't know what other parameters are set in there, but it seems like some get a lot more leeway than others, which
for sure.
And let's say culturally right now, like it is weird that we live in this culture where, you can't really say much inflammatory across. And then now you have a video of someone actually physically assaulting a female, and it's a pass.
Yeah, it blows my mind. My mind. I mean, if that would have been, if I was in the UFC and I was to do something like that, I probably would have been gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
nobody would have, thought twice about it.
Yeah.
But, different rules apply to different people apparently over there. So,
but that's really, Anthony, do you think that's really clear right now? And almost not even joking, like, isn't it offensive to you as, first of all, if you look at any African American, because I did today, I studied hard, and you look at all the African American guys that everywhere from Michael Vick to Ray Rice to all the way down I could go on. There's a lot of guys that were like, even stuff wasn't even that crazy, and they were all crucified. All of them were crucified. I mean, to the floor. And the media crucified them as well. And the same media today, the exact same media, I can show you the interviews because I watch them. That's why I think I'm so pissed off today, because I'm usually not mad when I do a show. I'm mad today because I say to myself, listen, okay, we understand white privilege. Okay, we understand that. But today it's different. This is too blatant. This is too in your face. And a lot of African-American rappers, sports people, were literally run over with a bus for doing maybe even less than what we saw Dana White do. And I think, and you're the only one that can speak, I can't speak on it, but for some reason it really throws me off.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like I said, different rules apply to different people. It's unfortunate that it even had to come to something like that. I think, 100% agree. There's been several athletes or popular people out there that are of a different race or color, and they've been criticized, and lives has been turned upside down because they made a mistake. Whereas now you have this other group of individuals who done the same thing, and I don't know, slap on the wrist.
Guys, do we forget Adrian Peterson when he spanked his child, and they said it was his child. And they said he used.
That's
them,
right.
Like,
I forgot about that.
Are you crazy? They
wanted to get rid of him altogether.
Are you, Jesse? It was crazy how they treated him, and they said he hit him with the light switch, the thing or whatever. And I thought to myself, growing up, I said, "Oh my God, my parents would have been arrested." You know what I mean? My parents would have been arrested. And that was back in the day when it wasn't considered child abuse; it was considered like you got a whooping, right? And you probably deserved it. Well, Adrian Peterson was literally run over for what he did with his own child. And they literally almost banished. He made it back to the NFL somehow, but he never really made it back. You know what I mean? It was just, he always had this cloud around him. And you'll see a guy that probably should be in the Hall of Fame. You won't see him in the Hall of Fame now because of this. You'll see. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I don't doubt that. I mean, again, they look at some folks different than they look at others, and that's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I don't know where they can go from here. Obviously, they're going to try to sweep this under as many times as one. The only thing that really matters, though, and Mark and I have talked about this a lot. We'll get your take, too, but the only thing that would help is if sponsorships pulled and fans stopped buying pay-per-views. But that doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
No, I don't see that happening at all. Dana, he's got himself in a pretty strong position. He's able to do a lot of things and get away with a lot of things. He controls a lot. Money and popularity obviously are a big factor of that. I don't see this guy getting pulled anytime soon. He's going to walk away on his own terms, regardless of what happens between now and then. So
for sure.
Yeah.
But that's my struggle. I understand what he did. We all know what he did. We saw it on video. No problem. Okay, we get it. It's a problem, but we're past that now. But the thing I can't understand is how he didn't step down. Like you made a lot of money, you got a lot of money, and if you were gonna do it, would be the perfect time now just to step down and to say, I made a huge mistake. It's terrible what I did. I don't know what I was thinking. We were drinking. He did all that stuff. But the part I can't believe is that he didn't step down. He didn't take himself out of that position. You know what I mean? Sure. Because most people would do that. They would say, yeah, this is horrible. Like, I'm so sorry, but I can't do this no more. You know, because as Jesse said earlier on in the show, now your fighters, where's the line now for them? So if one of the fighters goes and smacks his girlfriend around and it's on a grainy video on TikTok, is he out now?
Yeah. What's the precedent?
Or is he what color is he out? You know what I mean? Like, like that's but I don't mean to make a joke about it, guys, but it's so, let you imagine how, I don't know why it bothers me so much that it's so blatant this time around. And I can't believe that's the part I'm struggling with. I'm struggling that he just didn't say, hey guys, I did my best. I tried my best. Me and my wife are going to work stuff out. Great, fantastic. But I can no longer run this thing anymore with my conscience. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that from the higher above him now. None of them have talked. ESPN is telling them not to talk. And I'm like, wow, is this 1973, 74, not 2023?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, at the very least, maybe if he took a leave of absence or
correct,
went to some counseling and made it public or whatever the case may be. But
that's right.
Maybe you don't necessarily need to leave the organization altogether, but like really take some steps to show that you're remorseful or, hey, like I messed up, let me go get help. I'm gonna do
exactly.
To earn respect and trust back from the world and, whatever the case may be. But it just could have been more done there.
Yeah, I agree, Anthony. That's what I thought happened. If you were going to do all those steps and really do them, okay, because we all, most people believe that wasn't the first time that happened. Yeah,
it didn't look like
they were.
There was no hesitation there. Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh, but you're right, because I thought the same thing, man. I was like, they've been standing in front of each other like this a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about you, Anthony. And Mark told me before that you have one of the greatest knockouts in MFC history, where you, in his words, literally remove someone's head from their body. So, what was it that you enjoyed? Like, how did it feel to knock someone out, to sleep them like that? And is that something that you was like a motivating factor, or was that just something as a result that was a cherry on top of all the time that you've spent?
Yeah, I think it was the last thing you mentioned there. Man, I'd been training a lot. I've been training with a lot of tough guys. I was waiting for my opportunity and for my moment. Mark gave me an amazing opportunity to come up there and fight for the MFC title. It was just the way that it worked out. It was awesome. It was like a dream come true. And that kick was probably just, it was a blessing first and foremost, just to be there and have that opportunity. But that kick truly changed everything for me. It made me the MFC champion. I defended it one more time and then went off to the UFC and had a pretty decent career. So I don't know, that was an amazing moment in my life. I'll never forget that moment. And it was awesome. Just really thankful for it.
Do you realize, I've always wondered this, do you realize when it happens, or does it take you a second to register that this guy isn't getting up? Like, how long does it take for the brain to tell you to stop moving forward?
Man, it was like time slowed down.
Yeah.
Like, from the second I was standing in front of him to when I made the decision to throw the kick and then how the kick landed. And it was in slow motion on how he fell. Then I punched him one last time when he was already on the ground. I knew he was out just because I could feel the way that the kick hit. It felt like, like how you hit a baseball.
Yep.
And when it connects just right, it's done. It felt like that. So I knew as soon as it touched him that was probably it.
I have a GIF. The GIF of the knockout, and I was using it on Twitter, and people were messaging me going, "Mark, is that real?" And I'm like, "It was," because I was sitting right there when it happened. And what's funny too? I love Rama. Rama, the guy you did it to.
Yeah.
I love him because he's a tough guy. He's a good kid.
He is.
But if you would have told me that Anthony could lift his leg that high, first of all, I would have said that wasn't possible. And then when you knocked him out like that, I was like, wow, like that's going to resonate very far into the MMA world, which it actually did.
It did. Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, I saw it all over the media, around the world, and it kind of propelled me to, one of the highest prospects in the world at that time, that was outside of the UFC. And so, wouldn't have been able to do it without you, Mark. I mean, you were the one who gave me that opportunity way back when, and so that was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Like to know that, great. Like, because we'll say that the UFC is the big show, and there's all these other feeders that go into it. If that wasn't like televised, like if that wasn't recorded, like you said, Mark, like with HD fights and all that stuff, does your life happen like it did after that?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. That went everywhere. Yeah. I mean, I saw it on Bleacher Report. I saw it everywhere. It trended pretty high there.
It was on TSN's highlight of the night. In Canada, it was the highlight of the, like they showed like a really good hockey goal. Then they showed some really good baseball thing. And then they showed Anthony Hamilton knocking this guy's head off as the main one. It's like people were like, oh my God, he just killed that guy. Because that was back in the day, right? So it wasn't normal to see it on a highlight, like highlights of the night. You know what I mean?
Heavyweights kick like that back then.
Yeah, here's a bowling, strike, a split ball or something, and then here's Anthony Hamilton knocking this guy's head off, and people are like, "Oh, honey, what was that?"
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So do you see when you say you have one or two left? Do you mean that if your phone rings and someone says, "Okay, we have a fight for you in 6 weeks," then you'll commit to getting ready for the 6 weeks or the 4 weeks and take the fight?
I think it would have to be the right fight. Getting a little older now, I have some other priorities to balance. It would really have to be situational. If somebody called me and they gave me a great opportunity and it made sense, I'd probably take it. But I'm a little bit more selective these days.
Sure.
Being at the latter half of my career, and I got other stuff going on that's more important. So it all needs to fit and work out.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the family thing is always a big priority. When in your life did you realize, like, hey, I'm gonna do this family thing? Because I don't know, some people don't get that they see UFC fighters and they're like, they must not have anyone in their life because they do this. But we see them for 15 minutes. And we know, oh no, there's life outside. But what was it? Like, how does that dichotomy work in your head and with your spouse and your kids, and they see you like, oh yeah, dad takes people's heads off with his legs.
Yeah. For me, it was just, I'd always been a competitor, football, wrestling, every sport I could do. I did that. Wrestling is a combat sport, and that's what I excelled in most. So everybody in my circle that knew me, all the way through my college years, knew about, Anthony the wrestler. And so it wasn't too far-fetched that I decided to try mixed martial arts. Once I got into it, it became a part of me. It was just, it was another way to compete and push myself. All of my family and friends knew that's the type of person I am. But for me, I think it was slightly different. I think the traditional MMA guy, at least back in the day, was a little bit more rugged, not essentially had a college education and was doing a lot. I mean, fighting for a lot of these guys at the highest level was all they have, and that's why they are fighters, right? It's because they were willing to die out there if that's what it took. For me, I didn't have to do that. It was something else that pushed me. It was something that was just inside my heart that made me feel like, why not see how far I can really go physically? Let's see how far I can push myself. And so I think everybody around me just knew that about me. And so, everybody kind of understood when I made that decision, and I went as hard as I could, like, everything else that I try. And
is that something then that you do? Like if you get a challenge and that's it, I have to devote myself 100% to this challenge until I overcome this challenge.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something that I'm committed to and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I even tell my kids this. It's like, hey, when we start something, we finish it. And so it's been like that my whole entire life. If I'm going to start something and I'm passionate about it and I'm committed to it, I'm going to go as hard as I can go until the job's finished. Yeah. And so, that's how we live our lives over here in the Hamilton house.
How about
can you see yourself coaching wrestling at like high school, university level one day?
Maybe at the high school level. Right now, I have a 9-year-old son who is the best 10 and under at 85 pounds in the nation.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, he's legit. And
wow. So, Dad, wait a second. Dad, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I've spent the last couple of years kind of getting him involved, training with him, seeking out the best coaches. I've taken him to some of my old coaches, took him out to Izzy Martinez's place in Chicago, who was a wrestling coach for John Jones, myself, and several high-level wrestlers. So we took him out there this last summer. And so that's kind of where I'm gravitating towards. I started with coaching him and helping out on his club team. I'll eventually coach a middle school here in the Seattle area in the next month or so.
Wow.
And then that's subsequently will be the same middle school my son goes to. So I'll be part of that. And then when he leaves there, I'm going to follow him to the high school and be there through his high school career. After that, I think Dad's done. I'll just hang out and watch him wherever he goes after that.
So is it then to get like, with wrestling, like that's to get a scholarship? Like how does that work there? Like what's the goal with wrestling?
I mean, it's really, there's a lot of different goals there. For my son, he wants to be an Olympian. He wants to be the best in the world. Wow. He had a chance to meet Jordan Burroughs, who's arguably the best United States wrestler ever. He had a chance to meet him this past summer. That's like his idol, somebody he wants to be like. And so he wants to do that. And I'm going to support him every step of the way. I mean, college is just one of those steps to go to a big college, get a scholarship. I think it's great. He'll have an opportunity.
Ideal college. If Dad says tomorrow, this college, which college would it be?
University of Iowa.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We're big Iowa fans here.
Okay. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Because I was hoping for my Michigan Wolverines, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
that's top three. That's top three. I have a few friends of mine that wrestle for both the Wolverines and the Hawkeyes, and so my son his top three are Penn State, Iowa, and Michigan. So
I just got to reverse the order here because the big go blue, baby. Come on now. Now. What are you talking about here? I'm canvassing for my Michigan Wolverines here.
Yeah. They are awesome. And the most important part about Michigan is obviously they have a top 3 team in the country, but great coaching staff and wrestlers there. But they also have the best academics out of all of the top 10 wrestling schools, believe it or not, from the research that we've done so far. So that's a big thing for Dad is make sure my son has that education as well.
That's exciting. Hey, can you imagine? We're talking about it on the show now. He's how old? 9 years old?
9 years old. Yeah.
9 years old. We're talking about it today.
So in 10 years, this, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's happened.
Yeah. He's special. I mean, I'm a pretty big athletic guy, and he is he doesn't look 9, he looks probably 13. He trains with guys that are 13, 14, 15 years old.
Wow.
In the summertime, we were taking him to the high school, and there were some really small 9th graders or freshmen, and so he would drill with these guys. And at the time, he was only 8, but nobody knew that, and so
Wow.
we didn't say anything. And he'd go in there and he would start landing takedowns on these guys. He's 8 years old, going against guys that are,
Wow.
15, 16 years old. And he's about 80 some odd pounds at that time. These guys are probably like 100 pounds or so, 105 pounds.
Wow.
But yeah, he's something special. So it's exciting to watch.
Is that something that, you look at wrestling or whatever, it's way bigger in America than it is in Canada for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But is that something that you then would translate to an MMA thing one day, or is that even on the cards?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, Joe Rogan included, have said that wrestling is probably the best base to have transitioning over to MMA. It worked out great for me. My son claims that after he goes on his Olympic run, he's going to go to the UFC. So we'll see.
That's what I was wondering.
Wow. Here we go.
He's not a big fan of that, but
no, she wouldn't be.
Say that
What's your son's first name, Anthony?
Mercer Hamilton.
Okay, we're never going to forget that.
Yeah,
Is it after Ray Mercer?
What's that?
Is his first name after Ray Mercer or no?
No. There's a street in downtown Seattle that's called Mercer Street. Really popular street.
Okay.
I just really like the name, so it
very
fell
cool.
in love with it and it stuck. So
that's
easy.
awesome.
We won't forget that name, Mercer Hamilton. Man, we get. Can you imagine? We're talking about it now. Crazier things have happened on this
absolutely.
show. Yeah.
Wait, hey, who do we have on? Who do we have on the show? Heavyweight, UFC, Paris.
Oh, Cyril Gann. Yeah, Cyril Gann. Yeah.
Cyril Gann.
Yeah.
So Cyril Gann's on the show, and he wants to fight for the title, and he's like, I go, Cyril, you're going to get a call within a week or two. That's what happens when you're on the Me and Jesse podcast. And boom, he got a call in a week or two. They're fighting for the title. It was hilarious,
Nice.
But we kind of perceive the future. But Mercer Hamlin, watch out now. Go blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these coaches from Oregon State and Michigan, they follow me on Instagram. So I message them every once in a while and I'm like, hey, beware. I got a killer over here. He's coming for you guys. So
yeah,
is this something that this, like
they
now
start
with
looking.
the Olympic wrestling, is this something that starts that young?
Yes. A lot of these guys, they're training from, I've seen people as young as 3, 4, 5 years old start training and wrestling, and then they train their entire lives. Here in America, it's actually not as big as it is in places like Russia or Iran and places like that. That's like a way of life for them. Yeah. And there's so many more of their kids that are doing these sports, but it is pretty big here and it continues to grow. And now we have girls wrestling, which gives it even a little bit more momentum because now we can involve those female athletes and give us a little push. Right now we got both sports, so maybe funding can be a little bit more equal and just more opportunities for all of our kids. Make them tougher.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like it a lot.
And I don't know if you've ever seen, Jesse, on TV, Michigan and Iowa, like an actual match in the gymnasium or stadium where they have it. It is absolutely chaos.
Yeah.
To see Michigan against Iowa or Michigan against Ohio State in wrestling. Jeez, they are pulling the ceiling tiles out from this place. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Crazy.
That's really cool. So like, I mean, you said off the top, like, you have different focus now, your family and things like that. What is it that, you wake up now every day and you don't have a fight coming up. So what is it now that consumes that part of the challenge that you said you had to deal with? Like when you would grow up or go out and say, hey, I've got a challenge in front of me. I want to go forward to this now. What's the challenge now?
Sure. So when I was growing up, I grew up really poor. And so I never wanted to go back to that life. And so my focus was always sports and education. And I did pretty well in sports, but I also ended up doing subsequently pretty decent in education as well. Got a master's in business. And so now I've kind of used that to move me into a director role at a medical device company here in the Seattle area. So my days consist of a little bit of blend between I get up, I go to the office for a handful of hours, I get some training and workouts in on my own. And then obviously I'm there for my son and some of his training and stuff as well. So always a full day.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, cause we talk to a lot of people in your same position there. And it's not like you can just hit the pause button and stop. Like your whole life have devoted yourself to being this athlete. What happens after the athlete part is done, and what do you do? So, I think with all those lessons that you take and now apply it to your family, it's like a whole different challenge that, and speaking for myself, like that you never really thought was going to happen, like you never really thought was going to be there. And then, oh, wow, I remember doing this, and this can apply to this situation.
Yeah, I never wanted to. I mean, how many times have you guys seen stories about athletes that go on and then after their sport is done, then they don't have anything to do?
Right.
I was always forward thinking and wanted to have something in my back pocket in case something didn't work out or I needed to do something else. I always had a different opportunity. And so this was that, I guess, career path after fighting was to move into this business world and do that. And, and then my son is in doing the things that he's doing. It helps me transition out of this everyday sport life for me. Right. So now I can focus on him and his training. We can get workouts in together. So it's just an awesome opportunity.
How do athletes then make that transition after sport? Because you seem like you have that part figured out, but a lot, like you said, don't. So what needs to happen during the career or before maybe to help transition them after the fact?
Well, first and foremost, I think I heard at a young age from someone that education was the key to success. And so for me, that was my opportunity. Whether it was to get an opportunity to do sports, I had to go to college. So I'm going to have to do decent at school to be able to get into college somewhere. Right. So education for me is a key to success. I think a lot of these athletes out there, they really need to focus on that in conjunction with their athletic career, because it's only, you're only a second away from getting hurt or whatever, or maybe time is over. It's time for you to do something else. Right. So you need to have something else to fall back on. As far as transitioning out of sports, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there for me. Being able to coach my son and be a part of that is my thing. Maybe it's something else for somebody else. Like, right. They want to get into coaching. Maybe they want to get into managing. Maybe they just want to join an organization and be part of, the NFL or the NBA or something, right? Just working for the league. I don't know. I've known some guys that have done that, but there's a lot of opportunities out there for you to find, but you just have to find what's best for you and just go hard at it, just like you did in sports, right? Like,
exactly.
Set some goals, make a plan, and get after it.
Absolutely. Well, Anthony, we really appreciate you coming on tonight and taking time out of, the important things you have going on, which is family and life. And I really appreciate you talking about that and opening up about that as well, and especially your son, because I think that's something that Mark and I really love seeing and hearing about is, yes, okay, the athlete in the sport, that's great and very successful in that, but what makes your life work? What makes it tick? What makes it actually happen? So, if anyone is listening carefully here, there were some great pieces of wisdom that Anthony gave us today to actually help you in your life more than just a sport. And I really appreciate you opening up and talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys. And I just want to say, Mark Pavlich is an amazing individual. If you have seen the life that this man has built for himself, he has a beautiful family. He's been successful in pretty much everything he's done. Those are the type of guys that I look to, that I want to be like someday and build the type of life and success that he's done. So, Mark, man, I've known you for several years now, and man, you're an inspiration to me, and always been somebody I look up to because I like the way that you live your life, man. You're a good dude.
Thank you so much. Hey, listen, we can talk about it on this show, but we all have strong faith. And that's, I try to explain that to people, and I don't want to get in deep with two people because they think it's some kind of secret, but it's no secret. I've had strong faith since I was a kid, and I have it strong now, and my wife has it, and my, it just kind of resonates into everything else I do in life. So it's something I've always believed in. So, since I was a kid, so.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much once again for spending some time with us, Anthony. And yeah, if you follow Anthony on all social media, make sure that when your kid turns old enough that you post what his
Oh
tags
my
are.
God! Can you imagine? You better, Anthony. You better do that right away. You better start
Yeah, you better
registering
take
his
those
name,
names. I
Mercer
went through and-
Mercer Hamilton on
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram,
Buy the domain
Facebook.
name.
You better get the domain name on GoDaddy. Get all that stuff today because people are going to watch the show and then they're going to register it all.
Yeah.
I did that with all. I have five boys, and I did that with all of their names, so they all have their own domain and handles and everything already locked up. So
Yeah, I did that for my kids too. I did. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I got to get on it.
yeah.
Yeah. My son asked me one day when he was older, he's like, Dad, you registered davepavlich.com? And I said, I sure did. He goes, can I have it now? And I'm like, you sure can. And that's, yeah, I made sure of it.
Well, thanks so much once again, and go Hawks.
Yeah, for sure.
Shame on you.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
See ya.
buddy. Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you so much. We'll see you later.
Thanks, man. Anthony Hamilton, everybody, and his son. Listen, I know Anthony, and I know if he's talking about his son Mercer like that, we're going to watch out for him in the coming
Oh,
years.
yeah.
That's for sure.
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
That's really cool, actually. Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Anthony, for joining us tonight. And some great takes on Dana White, because that, people can listen to us talk about it, but when you actually hear people that are in the organization and have been around it to say the same thing, and everyone that is outside of losing a press pass that doesn't have that risk is saying the same thing. I feel like everyone doesn't have anything to lose is saying it.
Dana White made a mistake, everybody. It's not even about that anymore. He made a mistake. It's a catastrophic mistake. And you know what? I'm sure he's sorry for it.
Sure.
But at the same time is in any other sport and any other organization, he would have had to step down.
Yeah.
They would advised him, Dana, you did incredible for this sport. He did. There's no question on that. You can never take that away.
Sure.
But you did what you did, and you did it on video.
Yeah.
So it's never going away.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
It's never
always
going away.
gonna be there.
So
That's right.
just step
It's
down.
funny, actually.
Just,
Not funny, but it is true.
yeah, it's true. Like, it's not going away. So just step down, and we'll put someone else in that position. Thank you for everything you've done. You're going to bounce with about $350 million.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's
Do
the other
something
thing
else.
too, right? He's got so much money. Like,
Yeah.
it's just pride now that keeps you there. Like, really.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
I
As
mean,
my
I
great
think-
wife
I
said,
think
as
what
my great
Anthony's-
wife said, Jesse, my great wife said it today. She said, that's his identity. He can't get away from it.
Yeah.
He's so addicted to it. Listen,
Right.
I owned the MFC for 16 years. It was my identity.
Yeah.
And literally for a
I
year
understand
after, the year after, I was so lost without that identity.
Yeah.
But the difference is Dana White has $325 million to soothe his pain. And he can sit by the pool with his wife, and they can talk about how stupid that night was, and they shouldn't have done it. And their kids can say, okay, mom and dad, they're happy at the pool, and they can relax and call it a day.
It's one of those things, like when you spin it different. You come out and say that right away and say, you know what? I'm taking a break. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to work with my family. I'm going to work with my wife. This isn't something that's normal for us, and it isn't right. I'll see you guys in 6 months. And you know what? Hey, maybe then that goes better. But this is underhanded. This is the Robert Kraft thing. Like
totally.
Here's a guy that's getting like underage hookers.
Yeah.
And gets a pass. Gets a pass. I'm not saying it's in the same category. I'm not
Owner
saying
of the
that.
New
But
England
I'm just
Patriots.
saying.
Owner.
I'm just saying, like, okay, well, there's things that have to be done, not just sweeping under the rug. Sweeping under the rug makes everyone else pissed off all the time. Like, it makes us all mad because you're like, how is this right? How is this fair when you were the ones preaching this certain lifestyle all the time, and now here it goes, push comes to shove, and you're like, push it under the rug, whatever. I don't get it.
This is so blatant that listen, I usually don't get involved in this type of thing, meaning like saying like, okay, this happened or whatever, we talk about it. The part that's pissing me off, and the reason why I used profanity at the beginning of the show is because there's fighters in the UFC that actually condoned it, saying that the wife hit him first.
Yeah.
And that's to me, is so mind-boggling that you're even talking like that. So that's where I struggle with that. He's acknowledged he made the mistake and he should step down. End of story.
Yep, I agree.
When the fighters in the UFC, and a lot of them denounced it, but I can't believe that female fighters in the UFC haven't stood forward. Shame on all of you.
To lose something. It really is.
Shame on you.
Is.
Shame on you.
That's what it is. There's too much to lose, and so we can't say anything. I mean, if ESPN, one of the wokest organizations out there, says don't say anything, it really shows that everything else they've done beforehand to prove how,
it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. That's what you just did. ESPN, just legitimized everything that you've done to step certain things forward.
Correct.
And again, you can agree or disagree with those things. It doesn't matter. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is, if you preach a certain thing and then go be hypocritical in the next breath, everything you said before is gone. And that's what it is to me. ESPN's, they're wiped. They're wiped clean for me. They've lost all respect with me, and I don't understand why the rest of the media is doing anything.
If you're a sponsor with your logo on their mat,
Monster's the only one, and you saw the video I posted about that.
Yeah, I did, and it did very well on our TikTok,
or Twitter, and you'll see it. It's pretty good.
So that's what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is that if you're a sponsor and you're still sponsoring, that's on you. If you're TV network and you're still doing, that's on you. The only way you stay on the mat, the only way you stay on the broadcast is if he steps down. If he doesn't step down and you're still doing it, all you're doing is green lighting everybody to be crazy. You're green lighting everybody that thinking that this is okay.
Have we heard what Joe Rogan said? Has Joe Rogan said anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And it doesn't benefit him either. He's like, if there was a guy that probably, and I'm sure, listen, I know Joe, and I'm sure Joe doesn't advocate women being slapped.
No, usually, but I think
I guarantee you he does not. He does not.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for watching so much. If you have some of that unsightly back hair, and back hair is a real thing. Some people ask, is back hair real? Do guys have back? Yes, they do. Lots do.
Yeah.
And you know what? Girls don't like it. And you could say that we're body shaming or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, you do your hair, you wash your feet, you wash your nutsack. And you do that for your wife. Well, your wife also doesn't like when you have back hair. The same way you don't like her hairy legs, she doesn't like your hairy back. So you can check out Backscape. You're seeing it on the screen there. Head over to backscape.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
and don't forget, everybody, Crystal Glass. Crystal Glass for all your glass needs. Your clear choice for all your glass needs. You can check out Crystal Glass at crystalglass.ca or call 310-GLASS.
Thank you so much, all our sponsors and our viewers, because without you guys, you know what? It's what we do. We want to entertain you guys. And so thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sharing. Follow us on all social media.
What about next week? What about next week?
Yes, next week we have a very special guest.
Next week I'm excited because I have Emily Fraser on the show. Matchroom Pool, everybody. And what you'll note, I saw her on 60 Minutes. And she was on 60 Minutes, and she was so intelligent and so smart. And I said, we got to get her on the show.
Well,
so I bumped a guest down. I bumped a guest down so I could put her on next week.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. She's in London?
She's in London, England, and she's in the UK, and she's going to be on our show next week, and I'm super excited because I saw her on 60 Minutes, and I was like, oh, my God, you're way too smart. You got to come on our show.
That's awesome. Also, too, you asked me, I think it was a couple weeks ago, if darts was a sport, and I said it was a game. I'm changing my tune. It's a sport.
Oh, okay.
It's a sport now.
The hype on darts right now is out of control.
Big. DAZN has really pushed darts, and
it's out of control.
I always watch darts. I love it based on mostly the fans because I really want to go to one live because the way they say, I think pool. Like I want to see that.
I think pool is a far greater game than darts.
Yes, so I think that is true.
I do,
but you can't deny that atmosphere in a darts match.
But you know what the difference is? That's what Emily Fraser's trying to do with pool.
Oh, she wants to do that. That's interesting.
That's her whole MO is. That's what got me excited. She's trying to push Poole
into a different level.
Yes,
rather than
and that's the hook. Yeah,
but like an actual, like, okay, I'm interested in hearing this.
And me too.
Well, everybody,
that's why I booked her on the show.
That's awesome. Follow us on all social media. You've seen it flashing up on the screen there, especially TikTok, because TikTok's a real thing, and we are unhinged on TikTok. And we're going to start streaming live on there as well, so you can watch.
Which is crazy.
We're
going to be live on YouTube, and we'll be live on TikTok
as well. And so you can follow us on all social media, and that's Mark Pavlich below me. We switched it around. You're down there now.
Oh.
And I'm above you. So... That's Mark. I'm Jesse. Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. It's our first show of 2023. There was so much that happened when we were, and there's so much that was going on. And our hearts and prayers go out to the Hamlin family. And he was released from the hospital. He is going to be starting recovery. Seems like, that part is at least
prayer
done.
Works. Prayer works, everybody.
So,
prayer works.
It's good, and we're glad he's back. That was a very scary moment. And then it just happened again in basketball. It wasn't a pro. It was a pro team in another country, and someone collapsed the same exact cardiac arrest idea, and it is very scary. We saw that Eric Christensen in the Euro Cup a couple years ago, and anytime you see something like that, they're actually giving CPR on the field is incredibly scary. NFL was right to stop the game. You can argue if there was right to cancel the game. Doesn't really matter at this point. The point was that they actually showed for once that, hey, we care about the person and not the fan, not the money.
And did they react? And did the Bills medical staff? Bravo, man.
Yeah.
That was incredible what they did.
Oh, they saved his life. There's no question.
They did.
Life. And so that's the thing. But we there was so much that happened between the time we took a break for Christmas. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. 2023 is going to be great, and we're excited to have you with us. And don't forget to share, like, and comment on this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button either. Thanks so much, everybody. Well, have a great night. This has been the Me and Jesse Podcast.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse Podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.